So once again, just driving my blue-black 124 on a reasonably warm day. It did get up to 36 degrees, it's now 35. I've had a couple of annoying squeaks surface in this car today. One is from the steering wheel. I'll show you an example of that. And also my blower motor has started to squeak as well, so I need to lubricate its bushings. Of course it's not doing it now, but I assure you it has started, just very intermittently, so yeah, it's time for a lube job on that. Other than that, a couple of annoyances, everything is going well. So I'm going to go back and have a look at what could possibly be causing this squeak from my steering wheel. I suspect it's the horn contacts that are touching the copper rings on the back of the steering wheel. Other than that, I'm really not sure what could possibly be causing that noise. It's a high-pitched squeal, and it's only in the middle position. Anyway, I'll see if I can reproduce it when I'm back home and see what I can do. So here I am back home. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the steering wheel. This is just a plastic spudger tool that you use for the likes of opening small electronics devices. You can remove the wheel just by removing that center star there. You don't have to take this pad off, but my tool isn't quite long enough to get in there. Famous words. So I'm just removing that pad. It's clipped in around the edge and around the middle there. It's pretty easy to get off. I'm doing all of this single-handedly. And now that I have access to that Allen key bolt, I'm just going to go ahead and get that out with my rattle gun. Doing this by hand is kind of a nightmare. You do end up having to rely a lot on the steering lock, and I don't like putting that much pressure on it. This thing just makes it a piece of cake. As you can see, I'm doing all of this with one hand, and the other hand is holding the camera. I also use permanent marker on the steering shaft and the wheel just to make sure it goes back on the same place, because there's nothing more annoying than having a crooked steering wheel after the end of the job. And here you can see the brush type things that contact the copper ring on the back of the steering wheel. This is a non-airbag setup, so I only have the two rings for the actual horn itself. And you can see those copper rings look like trash. And if you're ever curious about if your steering column is in the center position, you can actually see it now. That piece on the right of the column has a line on it, and that should be in the middle in alignment with that indicator arm. And this is what I'm using to polish up the brass or copper contacts. I've used this before in various electronics projects without any problems. You just need to make absolutely sure that you clean all of it off when you're finished. That's the beginnings of the process there. I'm just using these cotton swabs. Slowly but surely you work your way around that, and yeah, it gets rid of all of the tarnish. When I was finished, I actually used an old toothbrush and flooded the area with window cleaner just to make sure that I got all of that junk out. It's not exactly like new, but it's pretty damn close. I then flooded the area with silicone grease. It is a little bit lubricated from the factory, and I think that's a surefire way of preventing tarnish in future and stopping the squeaks. I just made sure that this area was also cleaned out. And then I went ahead and refit the steering wheel, using my permanent marker lines as a guide to where to install it. And of course, I got it perfect first time. Now I'm going to go ahead and say that you are doing this at your own risk, in particular if you have an airbag steering wheel, because you are relying on that additional set of rings for the airbag to save your life. You might want to research what is the correct lubricant, if any, to use on those airbag rings. And of course you want to test the horn after all of that. make sure that still works. And we have no squeaks. Beautiful. And then it's just a case of reinstalling that soft trim over the steering wheel. Piece of cake. And then you just reinsert that all-important MB star in the middle. Dropping it is optional. But yes, it just slots in very easily, and of course you want to straighten that up, make sure it's perfect. Nice and silent. So my next little project will be to service the blower motor, but I have to remove the wiper motor to get to that, and I will service that because shame on me, I've never serviced my wiper motor.